AP, let's head over to frames 335 through 337. Okay, we're going to continue talking about this irregularity of doubling. This most often occurs in harmonic minor chord progressions because you have to raise that seventh scale degree, and you have to be really careful when you write voice parts because raising that seventh scale degree could result in an augmented second. Do you see a problem in the first measure of frame 335? Well, if you look at the soprano is singing a B natural to an A flat. So right here, this is a major problem because that's an A2. The reason why it's an A2 is because we're in harmonic minor. Note that we have the key signature of C harmonic minor with a lowercase c indicating that it's C minor. And we have a major 5 chord. The figured bass symbol, the natural sign by itself, means to take that third of the 5 chord, which would be B flat, and raise it up one semitone to make a B natural. When we do that, we've created an augmented second in the soprano voices. And we don't want to do that. In the second chord here, this is the 6th chord, and it is major, as you know, because in a minor key, the 6th chord is major. We have doubled the root, which is A flat. The bass is singing an A flat, as is the soprano. Now that's the rule that I've been telling you to do, and it's fine most of the time, but when you're dealing with harmonic minor, you have to be careful, because if you come across an augmented second, that needs to be taken care of. So that's why we have irregularity in doubling sometimes. So the better way to write this is in the second measure right here. And the irregularity in doubling is that we only have one root here, and we have 2/3 and 1/5. Having 2/3 as opposed to 2 roots is better in this example because the sopranos are not singing the interval that's forbidden, the augmented second. So that's something that we need to really keep in mind when we part write, is avoiding those forbidden intervals to write. If we head on over to frame 336, we're given a key signature, A minor, and we need to provide a Roman numeral analysis and fill in the missing chord tones. So, first, as always, let's build our triads. We need to build a DFA here. We need to build an E, G sharp B here, and we need to build an FAC here. Now, let's plug in our Roman numerals. ACE, that's a minor 1. DFA, root D in the bass, so that's a minor 4. Back to a minor 1. Here, good indicator with the figured bass sharp that we are using harmonic minor. So it's going to be a capital 5. That's E, G sharp B major. And then we're going to end on FAC. What's F in the key of A minor? That would be our 6th. And we should know from memorization that it's a major 6th chord in a minor key. Okay. Now, we also need to make sure that we're going to have irregular doubling that's going to occur in the final chord, because we have a raised 7th scale degree in the chord right before the last chord. So let's plug in some figures here and we'll see how we do. Now, we're up to the 4 chord. Here we can use normal doubling. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to use normal doubling. We just have a 4 chord and we're going from a 1 to a 4. So you're going to want to try to keep the common tones in the same voice, right? Because there's one common tone. So the common tone here between the 1st chord and the 4th chord is going to be the A. So let's keep the tenors on the A. So now I have 2 roots and I've got the 5th. I'm missing the 3rd, and the altos can sing the F, which is the 3rd. So far so good. Now we have to head back to our 1 chord. So again, there's going to be one common tone. Keep the common tone in the same voice. So looks like it's going to be the A for the tenors. I have 2 roots. I've got the 3rd. I need the altos to supply the 5th. So far, it's very smooth voice leading. In the next chord, I have a major 5 chord. So, I've got the root. The root should be doubled. Let's make the alto sing it. Very nice, they're staying on the same note there. So I have 2 roots, and I've got the 5th. Where is the 3rd going to go? In the tenor, right here. Are we done? No, because we need to observe our figured bass. The sharp sign means that we need to raise it. Harmonic minor, we have to raise the 7th scale degree, which happens to be a G sharp. So you must include your sharp sign there. Now, when we get to the last measure, let's do it the incorrect way first, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So, the basses are singing an F. Let's assume that we need to double the bass. So, we could put the bass right here with the tenor. And actually what I should do is perhaps this. So we know that both the tenor and the bass are singing that whole note, since there's no stems on whole notes. So I've doubled the root, I have the 3rd, and then I can have my altos sing the C, which would cover the 5th. What's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with this picture is that my tenor voice, right here, they're singing an augmented 2nd. That's a G sharp down to an F, and that's forbidden. So we can't double the root in this case. In this particular case, we have to double the 3rd, which is allowed. So I'll erase my F, and I'll put the tenors singing an A. So now they're singing not that augmented 2nd, but they're just singing from a G sharp to an A half step up. And I have 1 root, a 3rd again, and my 5th. So hopefully this is making a little bit more sense. Let's try another example. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here in frame 337. We're in the key of G minor. Let's apply the Roman numeral analysis. We've got a 1 chord, G, B flat, D. Let me put my stem on my tenor that I forgot before. There we go. Okay, look at your figured bass here. We've got some sharps by themselves. That's a good indication of harmonic minor. And we have a D in the bass. So this is going to be our major 5 chord. Okay, now we have an E flat in the bass. E flat, let's build it. E flat, G, B flat. Why B flat? Because we have it in the key signature. So, if the root is E flat and the key is G minor, what Roman numeral do we have to use? Hopefully you said a major 6th. Next chord, D in the bass. This looks similar to the 2nd chord, so that's our major 5. And then we have a G in the bass. That's going to be our G, B flat, D minor 1. Now that we've figured that out, we need to fill in the voices for the chord progression. And we're going to start out normal, because we have a 1, minor 1, to a major 5. So the root is by 5th or 4th, and in that particular case, that means there's going to be 1 common tone. So we'll keep the common tone, which is D in the tenor, and then what's missing is the 3rd, which is the F sharp, and it must be an F sharp because we have to raise that 3rd according to our figured bass. So far so good. Now, in this next chord, we're going to have irregular doubling, okay, because we're going from a 5 chord to a 6 chord in minor. The roots are moving by a 2nd, so the 3rd is going to need to be doubled. So right here we have our D to our F sharp, that's our parallel 3rd, and here we're going to have our E to our G. So the alto and bass have the parallel 3rd motion. We've just doubled the 3rd, we have 1 root, and now we need to supply the 5th, which is the B flat for this tenors to sing. And hopefully this is making sense. If I doubled the root in this chord, let's say I put the altos on an E flat, what's the problem? The altos cannot sing that augmented second. And that is an augmented second because keep in mind, it's F sharp to an E flat because we have a key signature. So we can't double the root here of E flat. We can double the third to avoid that interval. And that's what we mean by the irregularity of doubling. Now, let's go to the next chord. We've got a 5 chord, so we have to build D, F sharp, right, because the figured bass, and then the A. This one can have normal doubling, no problem. We have to return to normal doubling as soon as we have irregularity in doubling. So, it would be best to have my root doubled in my tenor voice. That's some good motion from the B to the D. And then the F sharp is missing, and the altos can head on down from the G to the F sharp. Do not forget to put your sharp sign. And in the last measure, it looks as if we can do a G in the bass, a D in the tenor, and a G in the alto, doubling the root. And there's no augmented seconds here. That's fine, that's good motion. Okay, this is some nice oblique motion here with the bass and the tenor. And there you have it. I hope that this video helped to clear up some confusion regarding the irregularities of doubling.